the biggest adjustment that the Lakers made was putting Anthony Davis on Jimmy Butler, and that negated a lot of his playmaking.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. First of all, AD was a point guard back in the day, so he understands what he got to do out there on the perimeter, and for him to be as long as he is and the threat that he is defensively, it's tough. I remember a few times he switched on me this year, and it's tough. You know, it makes you second guess and got to figure out how to get into a different type of bag to even score or create for somebody else. So, you know, that was a big adjustment.
What else, DeMar? What else did you see last night that sort of stood out to you?
I don't know. Lakers just came out. They just came out wanting it. And it's crazy even to see what Bron said about, you know, sending a team the text message that he sent. They came out and played like it. You know, that game is kind of always the hardest game to play, especially against the Heat that's going out there playing their ass off and to come off the confidence that they had last game, to get Bam back. You know, I'm pretty sure their confidence is extremely high. So the Lakers came out, did what they had to do. Bron picked it up offensively in the second half, and they just ran off with it.
DeMar, in rewatching some of the game this morning, I was kind of keyed in on the pick and roll coverage they were running when Jimmy was getting guarded by Anthony. And I think you're the perfect person to talk to because this is a coverage that you see quite a bit. So as Jimmy would go and headhunt and try to get a different matchup, the guard would show, and Anthony Davis would essentially go fourth man. He would go underneath the screener and his own guy showing. So the reason that's effective against a guy like Jimmy Butler is because Jimmy is not a high-volume three-point shooter. You cannot run that defense, that coverage against a guy like Damian Lillard or Steph. And so for you, this is a coverage that you've seen a lot. And so take me through your sort of reads or your mindset when you're getting that coverage and how you attack out of that.
A lot of times when you know, guys showing, you know, what I always like to do, coming off, you got to kind of find an angle, you know, because if you let a guy get all the way under and get right back in front of you, it's going to be hard to find any type of angle to try to attack that defender. So for me, a lot of times, I remember I learned this from the best when I played with Cal Lowry. He was one of the best screen setters. Even if a guy went under me, he always found a way for me to be able to find an angle to be able to attack that defender that goes all the way under. So sometimes you got to screen your own guy. Sometimes you got to play tricks with it. Sometimes you got to mess with it. But it's tough. It's tough. Like you said, especially, you know, Jimmy is not like a Dame or even you know, you getting taken out the game if you go underneath guys like y'all. So for us, you always got to try to find different angles. I'm pretty sure they watch your film. You're going to have to try to stay away from anything that'll put you in that position of knowing that it kind of defeats the purpose of you even running that, you know. So that's why a lot of times for me when I'm in that position, I kind of like, you know, why I try to be such an ISO-minded person and kind of, you know, be able to create my own shot, kind of make my own play because it gets tough when they get to guarding you like that.
And this just, I think, speaks to the volume or the value, rather, of Anthony Davis. And look, DeMar, you're probably not that familiar with the pod. We get a lot of shit from our listeners because they think this is actually one of the best Miami Heat podcasts because we always praise the Heat.
We've been giving a lot of love to the Heat on this show.
We give a lot of love to the Heat, okay? But I want to say this. Anthony Davis, the Pelicans, we gave up, we got a ton back when we gave up Anthony Davis. And he's showing the value of his skill set and the versatility of his skill set in this series. And what he did in Game 4, there's maybe no one else in the world that can do that at his size and his position. And so, you know, in terms of like making the adjustment for Miami, you can't, you mentioned just going straight to an ISO, but I think it's difficult to say that in this situation because, you know, Jimmy's then just ISO'd against Anthony Davis. We're back to the start. So I like your your mention of just changing screening angles and really figuring that out. I'm sure Spo's going to coach that well. But then, we're going to have to get the Heat are going to have to get a little more creative with their off-ball movement. The one thing I wanted to say too was it's really apparent how valuable Goran Dragic is for the Heat right now, because they're missing his playmaking and his scoring in the half court.
Yeah, that's big. He's a threat. He's one of the key major threats that's able to get their own shot off, 3-point threat, creating for guys. When you have another guy that's that dynamic of a player out there, it changes the whole game. And just not to have that out there, that also gives a chance to allow Jimmy to be off the ball so much and not have to run so many of those screens. So it sucks not to have him. I was rooting for him to, I seen him try and make it back, play. But losing him, it's tough, man. It's tough. You talk about somebody that's been putting up 20 points a game in the playoffs. That's big, So to lose that kind of puts them in a funk when they get in situations like they was in last night.
I was going to say, the other guy I wanted to mention to both of you, who JJ and I talked about a little bit last night, is KCP. And he obviously hit a couple big shots at the end of the game, but he's been very consistently good for them this entire run. And I don't think maybe before last night, sort of the casual observer is really giving him enough credit for how he's played on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. Even before he even hit that corner three last night, he had ISO clock running down on top of the key. He got a big bucket for him with the layup, driving to the right, hitting the shots when you need to hit him. Take him out. It'd be a tougher task for the Lakers. Like you said, he's definitely not getting the credit he deserves, and I'm pretty sure he catches a lot of flack.
Yeah, he does.
From especially Laker fans and everything. So, just seeing him stick with it late in the game, it's been big, especially for him to hit that shot.
We've already praised two Laker players.
This is the Laker show now.
we can end the segment now. No, I do want to say one other thing about this particular game. It had a totally different feel than the first three games. That game was like a deep in the series type playoff game. There was no flow whatsoever. It came down to sort of individual greatness. Can you get buckets in the playoffs in the half court? You've been in a bunch of those games. There's a total different feel. The ease of movement, body and ball is just totally different.
Yeah, it's totally different. A lot. Those are the moments where your stars go out there and got to get you them tough buckets. Because your sets and a lot of things kind of not working. At that point, both teams know exactly what you're gonna run, your strengths, your weaknesses. So it just comes down to individual effort, being able to get to a bucket, be able to create your own shot, be able to knock them big shots down, or be able to create and get somebody else an open shot. And that's what makes the Lakers so dangerous. Because Bron, he gets in the mode. If you want to score, he gonna get a shot off. If you want to create, get to the basket, he gonna get there. If you're gonna create, find somebody else like he did KCP, he gonna do that. And that's why he ends up in these positions over and over again, playing in the finals. So it's been crazy to watch. And me being a basketball fan, not even me being in the NBA, just watching it, I wish it was in the arenas so you could see the full atmosphere of those big moments, of them shots, and seeing the crowd reaction, whether you're at home or away. But it's definitely been crazy to watch, man.
That's definitely what I miss the most, just in playing the 8 regular season games in the bubble. You just miss that interaction.